My fiancée was standing in a bathroom stall in her slip, shaking so hard the door rattled, while her best friend stood outside holding the shredded remains of her wedding dress and whispering, "Maybe this is a sign you shouldn't marry him." That sentence froze the whole room. The music outside kept playing, guests kept laughing, and I was 10 minutes away from walking down the aisle with no idea our wedding had just been attacked from the inside. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 33, an architect in Savannah, Georgia, and the woman I was about to marry was Maya Bennett, 31, a pediatric nurse with a laugh that could make strangers turn around in grocery stores. We had been together for years. We bought a small blue house near Baldwin Park, argued happily over paint colors, and spent most Sundays making pancakes while our golden retriever, Waffles, stared at us like we owed him rent. Our wedding was scheduled for April 22nd at the Whitmore House, an old brick venue with ivy crawling up the walls and magnolia trees that made the whole courtyard smell sweet and clean. We had 118 guests, a string quartet, lemon cake with raspberry filling, and a budget that had somehow grown from $32,000 to $47,600. Maya's dress was the crown jewel. It cost $6,800 from Bellamy Bridal, ivory satin with tiny pearl buttons down the back and lace sleeves that made her mother cry during the fitting. I wasn't supposed to see it before the ceremony, but I knew how much it meant to her. Her maid of honor was Lila Hart, 32, an event planner from Charleston. Lila and Maya had been best friends since college at Georgia Southern. She had planned Maya's birthday parties, helped her through job stress, and once drove 3 hours at midnight when Maya's apartment flooded. I trusted Lila because Maya trusted her. That was my first mistake. The first red flag came on March 15th, 5 weeks before the wedding. I was paying the final invoice for the florist when I noticed the amount had changed from $4,200 to $5,100. I called the florist, a soft-spoken woman named Denise, and she sounded confused. "Your coordinator approved the upgrade," she said over the phone. "More white orchids for the ceremony arch." "We don't have a coordinator," I said, standing in our kitchen with a cold mug of coffee in my hand. There was a pause. "Lila Hart." She said she was authorized. Maya brushed it off. "Lila knows flowers." Maybe she thought it would look better. Then, on April 3rd, Maya's final dress fitting got moved without her asking. Bellamy Bridal called and said, "We confirmed the reschedule with your maid of honor." Maya frowned. Her phone pressed to her ear, the smell of garlic and rosemary filling our kitchen from dinner. "That's weird," she said after hanging up. Lila said Saturday was better because she could come with me. On April 18th, Lila made a strange joke at our rehearsal dinner. She looked at me across the table, her lipstick too red under the warm restaurant lights, and said, "You know, Ethan, if you get cold feet, I know exactly how to make a bride disappear." Everyone laughed. I didn't. Something in her smile felt sharp, like stepping on glass barefoot. The morning of the wedding was bright and warm, the kind of Savannah morning where the air feels heavy with flowers. I was in the groom's room with my brother Marcus, my father, and my 2 groomsmen, trying to fix my tie with hands that wouldn't stop trembling. At 2:14 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was Maya's younger sister, Priya. "Ethan, come to the bridal suite. Now, don't ask. Just come." My stomach dropped so fast I had to grab the edge of the dresser. I remember the room suddenly feeling too small. The cologne, the starch from my shirt, the faint sound of violins warming up outside. Marcus saw my face. "What happened?" "I don't know," I said, but my mouth had gone dry. I ran down the hallway, my shoes loud against the old wooden floor. Outside the bridal suite, I heard crying. Not soft crying. Broken, breathless crying. Priya opened the door just enough for me to slip inside, then blocked the view from the hallway. The room smelled like hairspray, roses, and something sour. Maya was inside the bathroom stall, wrapped in a robe, her bare feet visible under the door. Her mother was kneeling beside her, whispering, "Breathe, baby, just breathe." On the floor lay the dress. At first, my brain refused to understand what I was seeing. The bodice had dark red liquid spilled across the lace. The satin skirt had a long, jagged cut from the waist almost to the hem. Several pearl buttons were missing, scattered like tiny teeth on the tile. Lila stood near the sink holding the hanger, her eyes wide, but not wet. "What happened?" I asked. Maya's voice came from behind the stall door, thin and shaking. "She said she found it like that." Lila turned to me. I walked in, and it was already ruined. "I swear." Priya snapped. "You were the only one in here." Lila's face hardened for half a second, then softened again. "Maya, I'm trying to help. Maybe this is a sign you shouldn't marry him." The room went silent except for Maya's breathing. I felt heat rise from my chest into my neck. My fists clenched so hard my nails dug into my palms. I looked at Lila and said quietly, "Why would you say that?" She blinked. "Because look what's happening. Maybe the universe is trying to stop a mistake." Maya sobbed from inside the stall, and that sound changed something in me. The betrayal got worse within 20 minutes. At first, we thought it was only the dress. That alone felt cruel enough. But Priya, who had gone from crying to terrifyingly focused, started checking everything. "My makeup bag is missing," she said. Then Maya's mother found the emergency sewing kit emptied and thrown under a chair. The spare ivory ribbon from the florist had been cut into pieces. The garment bag had been shoved behind the sofa, inside out, like someone wanted to hide fingerprints. Marcus pulled me into the hallway and lowered his voice. "There are cameras by the stairwell. Not inside the suite, but outside." I found the venue manager, Angela Whitmore, a calm woman in a navy dress who suddenly looked like she was managing a building fire. "Angela," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "we need to see the hallway footage." She hesitated. "Ethan, the ceremony starts in 6 minutes. My bride is crying in a bathroom because someone destroyed her dress. Please." We went to her office. The monitor buzzed softly, and the room smelled like printer toner and old wood. Angela rewound the camera. At 1:47 p.m., Lila entered the bridal suite alone, holding a travel mug. At 1:52 p.m., she came out, looked both ways, and walked quickly toward the service hallway with something white bundled under her arm. Angela whispered, "Oh my." At 1:56 p.m., Lila returned empty-handed. Then came the first twist. The footage showed another person waiting near the service door. My ex-fiancée, Natalie Voss. I had not seen Natalie in 5 years. We dated before Maya, and the relationship ended badly after she lied about money and blamed me for it. She wasn't invited. She wasn't even supposed to know the venue. On the screen, Natalie handed Lila a small envelope. My ears started ringing. Marcus leaned toward the monitor. "Is that who I think it is?" I could barely speak. "Yes." Angela paused the footage on Lila's face. She was smiling. The second twist came from Maya herself. Priya helped her out of the stall, wrapped in a robe. Her makeup streaked, but her eyes suddenly clear. When I told her Natalie had been there, Maya didn't gasp. She went very still. "Ethan," she said, voice trembling. 2 months ago, Lila told me she ran into Natalie at a vendor expo. She said Natalie asked how you were doing. My throat tightened. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because Lila said not to upset you. She said Natalie seemed harmless." Then Priya held up Lila's phone. "Before anyone panics, no one hacked anything." Lila had left her phone unlocked on the vanity, still open to a message thread with Natalie. Priya read out loud, her voice shaking with rage. "Natalie, make sure it can't be fixed. Lila, she'll fall apart. He'll blame the chaos. Natalie, you'll get the rest after it's done." I looked at Lila through the open suite door. She was standing by the window, pretending to comfort a bridesmaid, her hand pressed dramatically to her chest. Maya saw the messages and whispered, "She was paid." Her mother covered her mouth. Then we found a photo in the thread, Maya's dress hanging at Bellamy Bridal during the final fitting. Lila had sent it with the caption, "This will be easy." The room tilted. I had to put one hand against the wall. Maya looked at me, tears hanging on her lashes. "I don't want her to win." That was the first solid thing either of us had said in almost an hour. But the emotional damage didn't disappear because we had proof. The ceremony was delayed 90 minutes. During that time, I stood in the groom's room staring at the floorboards, hearing the muffled murmur of guests outside. My father kept putting his hand on my shoulder, but I couldn't feel it. My body was there, The rest of me was in that bathroom, looking at pearls scattered on tile. Maya didn't cry in front of the guests. That almost hurt more. She wore her mother's reception dress from 1989, altered in emergency mode by Denise the florist's aunt, who apparently had been a seamstress for 30 years. It didn't fit perfectly. The sleeves were a little loose, and the hem brushed the grass. But when she walked toward me under the magnolia trees, the whole courtyard went quiet. Her eyes were red. Mine were too. She reached me and whispered, "Do I look okay?" I took her hands. They were cold and trembling. "You look like the strongest person here," I said. We got married. We smiled for photos. We cut the cake. But every laugh felt like it had a crack running through it. That night, at the hotel, Maya sat on the edge of the bed still wearing pearl earrings, staring at nothing. "She watched me plan this for a year," she said. "She saw me save overtime money for that dress." I sat beside her, smelling hairspray and rain through the cracked window. "We're going to handle this." She looked at me. "Not today." "No," I said. "Not today." For the next week, I barely slept. I'd wake at 3:12 a.m., staring at the ceiling fan, replaying Lila's voice. Maybe this is a sign. Maya called in sick twice, something she almost never did. She lost 8 pounds in 2 weeks. I found her one morning sitting on the laundry room floor, holding the ruined lace sleeve in her lap. "I keep thinking I missed something," she said. I knelt beside her. The tile was cold against my knees. "You didn't miss it." She hid it. But inside, I was burning. The turning point came on May 6th, when Lila posted a photo on Instagram from a rooftop brunch in Charleston. She was wearing a cream dress, holding orange juice, smiling like nothing had happened. The caption said, "Protect your peace." Some people confuse accountability with drama. Maya showed it to me without saying a word. My hands went still around my coffee mug. Then my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "You should know Lila is telling people Maya had a breakdown and ruined the dress herself." I read it 3 times. The air in the kitchen seemed to leave. Maya's face changed. Not sadness this time. Something sharper. She said, "Okay." I looked at her. "Okay. Okay," she repeated. Now we stopped being polite. The plan took 3 weeks. First, we hired an attorney, Grace Pelletier, who worked out of a brick office downtown and had the calmest voice I had ever heard. Her conference room smelled like leather chairs and peppermint tea. We laid everything on the table: the ruined dress, the screenshots, the venue footage, the altered invoices, the florist upgrade, the Bellamy bridal reschedule. Grace adjusted her glasses and said, "You have more than hurt feelings here. You have property damage, interference with contracts, and possibly fraud depending on that payment." I asked, "Can we expose her?" Grace smiled slightly. "Truth is a powerful defense, but we will do it cleanly." Second, we requested copies of all vendor communications. Denise the florist sent an email chain showing Lila had impersonated Maya's authorized planner. Bellamy Bridal sent a call log with Lila changing the fitting. The cake vendor revealed Lila had tried to cancel the delivery on April 20th, claiming the wedding was postponed. That one made Maya stand up from the table and walk outside. I followed her onto the porch, where the evening air smelled like cut grass. "She tried to take the whole day," Maya said. I nodded. "And failed." Third, we found the money trail. Natalie had sent Lila $1,500 through a digital payment app on April 21st labeled Decor Consult. Another $2,000 was scheduled but canceled the morning after the wedding, probably because everything was starting to unravel. Fourth, we set the trap. Lila had been asking mutual friends to hear her side, so we arranged a post-wedding photo preview brunch at a private room in a cafe on Broughton Street. We invited the bridal party, close family, Angela from the venue, Denise the florist, and, most importantly, Lila. Grace approved every word of the packet we prepared. No insults, no exaggeration, just dates, screenshots, invoices, still frames, and repair estimates. Maya named the folder The Truth about April 22nd. I wanted to name it something less polite, but she was right. Truth was cleaner. The execution began at 10 a.m. on May 27th. The cafe smelled like cinnamon rolls and fresh coffee. Sunlight poured through tall windows onto white tablecloths. Lila arrived 12 minutes late in a pale blue jumpsuit, sunglasses perched on her head, carrying a gift bag. She hugged Maya like they were sisters. "Maya," she said, voice sweet as syrup, "I'm so glad you're ready to move forward." Maya's shoulders stiffened under her hands, but she smiled. "Me too." I had to look down at my coffee so my face wouldn't give us away. The near miss came when Lila spotted Angela Whitmore sitting near the back. "Why is the venue manager here?" Lila asked. Angela didn't blink. "Maya invited me." Lila's smile twitched. "That's thoughtful." Then Lila noticed Grace, our attorney, who was introduced simply as a family friend. Lila's eyes narrowed for half a second, and I thought she might leave. Priya saved it. "Before photos, we're doing a toast," she said brightly, raising her glass. "For surviving wedding chaos." Everyone laughed lightly. Lila relaxed. At 10:18, Marcus connected his laptop to the cafe's wall-mounted screen. It was supposed to show wedding photos. Instead, the first slide was a still frame from the Whitmore hallway camera. Lila entering the bridal suite alone with the travel mug. The room went quiet. Lila's head snapped toward the screen. Maya stood. Her voice was steady, though I saw her fingers trembling against the table. "Before anyone sees our wedding photos, I need everyone to understand what happened before the ceremony." Lila pushed back her chair. "Maya, what are you doing?" I stood beside my wife, telling the truth. She laughed once, too loud. "This is dramatic." Marcus clicked to the next slide, Lila leaving with the white bundle. Then the next, Natalie handing her the envelope. Someone gasped. Lila's face drained of color. "That is not what it looks like," she said. Priya folded her arms. "Then explain it." Lila looked around the room, searching for a friendly face and finding none. The climax was so quiet it felt louder than shouting. Maya clicked the remote herself. The message thread appeared on the screen. "Natalie, make sure it can't be fixed." "Lila, she'll fall apart. He'll blame the chaos." The silence turned heavy enough to press on my chest. I could hear a spoon clink against a saucer somewhere behind me. Lila's mouth opened, then closed. Maya looked at her and said, "You stood beside me while I cried." Lila whispered, "Maya, I panicked." "You planned," Maya said. Lila's eyes filled with tears, but they looked more frightened than sorry. "Natalie contacted me first. She said Ethan ruined her life. She said you were making a mistake." I felt every eye shift toward me. I kept my voice calm. "Natalie lied about money when we were together. That's why we ended." Lila shook her head. She said if the wedding fell apart, everyone would be better off. Maya stepped closer, her face pale but controlled. "You accepted money to destroy my dress." "It wasn't like that," Lila said quickly. "I was going to just spill something small." Then Natalie kept pushing. "And you were so happy, and You just what?" Maya asked. Lila's mask cracked. "You always get chosen," she said, voice sharp now. "The job, the friends, the house, him. Everyone acts like you're sunshine in human form. I was tired of being the person holding your train." There it was. Not concern, not panic, jealousy. Maya absorbed it like a physical blow. I took one step closer, but she lifted her hand slightly, telling me she had this. She said, "You were never holding my train. You were standing next to me." I thought that meant something. Lila looked down. Grace stood then, placing a sealed envelope on the table. "This is a formal demand letter for damages," she said. "You'll also receive notice regarding preservation of evidence. I recommend you stop speaking publicly about Maya immediately." Lila stared at the envelope like it might burn her. Angela spoke from the back. "And for the record, you are no longer welcome to coordinate events at Whitmore House." Denise added, "Or with my florist shop." Lila grabbed her purse with shaking hands. At the door, she turned toward Maya. "You're really going to ruin me over a dress?" Maya's voice was quiet. "No, Lila. You started that when you ruined yourself over my happiness." Lila left so fast the bell above the cafe door slammed against the glass. The aftermath didn't explode all at once. It spread. Within 48 hours, 3 brides who had hired Lila for summer weddings contacted us asking if the evidence was real. We sent them only what Grace approved. By June 3rd, Lila's event planning page had removed all wedding packages. By June 8th, her business partner, A woman named Karina emailed Maya directly. "I am so sorry," she wrote. "I had no idea. I've separated our accounts pending legal review." Natalie, meanwhile, vanished from social media for exactly 6 days, then posted a vague quote about truth having many sides. Unfortunately for her, payment records have fewer sides. Grace sent her a letter too. The dress could not be restored fully, but Bellamy Bridal preserved parts of the lace and made Maya a framed piece with our wedding date stitched beneath it. It hangs now in our hallway, not as a wound, but as proof that the day survived. Maya and I took a delayed honeymoon to Asheville in late June. We stayed in a cabin that smelled like cedar, drank coffee on the porch every morning, and for the first time in months, I heard her laugh without that little break in the middle. One night, while fireflies blinked over the yard, she leaned against my shoulder and said, "I'm glad we still got married." I kissed the top of her head. "I would have married you in a parking lot." She smiled. "Don't give my mother ideas for the vow renewal. We're not finished with the legal side. Grace says these things move slowly, and I've learned that karma does too. It doesn't always kick the door open. Sometimes it knocks politely, carrying a folder full of receipts." Maya's back at work. "I'm designing a waterfront library project. We're repainting the kitchen yellow because she says the house needs more light. On Saturday mornings, waffles still acts like pancakes are a constitutional right." As for Lila, last I heard, one of her biggest clients canceled a $28,000 corporate event after reviewing recent concerns. Karina is auditing their business records. Natalie's name came up in that audit too. Maya doesn't check Lila's pages anymore. She says peace feels